Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching Man Talk, and I am your host, Susan Njoroge. Super excited to hang out with all of you today. I'm going to be live tweeting and posting on Instagram as well. So join me in the conversation. Follow me at Sura_common. Our channels are at KTN Home everywhere, and use the hashtag ManTalk and the hashtag KTN Life and Style so that I can see all your posts and we can converse together as we enjoy today's episode. Now, what am I discussing on the show today? We are going to be discussing divorce and separation. I'm going to have gentlemen who have actually experienced it right here on the show, giving the male's perspective on it. And I'm super excited to go and meet them. I want to shout out the beautiful space that we are shooting at today. We're at 4 Points Sheraton, located right here in Hurlingham. Wonderful hotel with incredible accommodation. They have a pool that is so beautiful. They have meeting rooms, a gym, and a wonderful cafe for you to share incredible memories at. So be sure to come to the 4 Points Sheraton. It's located in such a convenient location here in Nairobi City. So come and enjoy. And the pool area, super Instagrammable moments. Now, I want to share a quote of the week just before we get into the episode, just to help you get along this coming weekend and the week that's coming. And the quote for today is, "You never really know a man until you've divorced him." That and much more. Let's go and meet my guests. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once more. I told you that I'm going to be sitting with two gentlemen today, and I'm super excited to introduce them. I'm here with them now, and we're shooting at the Sheraton just here in Hurlingham. They've given us a wonderful space to be able to do our production, so thank you so much, guys, for that. I am your host, Susan Njoroge. This is Man Talk, and today we're going to be discussing divorce and separation. I know, but I'm with two incredible gentlemen, so I'm super excited to get into it with them, and I'm open and I'm ready to learn, because I've not been married yet, so I've not yet been divorced, but I'm going to be learning a lot from these gentlemen. So I'm joined by Mohammed Bank.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here. We've had such a nice chat off air already, so I'm super excited to get into it. And I'm also joined by Isaac Maweu, a counseling psychologist.
Yes.
So you're here as an expert.
Yes, Isaac Maweu.
Isaac Maweu.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah. So you are married.
Yes.
Happily married.
Yes.
But you deal a lot in these cases, and you counsel families
Yes.
and couples.
Yes.
So you understand watu wakifika mambo ya divorce, wakifika mambo ya separation, venye situation inakaanga.
Yes. And also now the aspect of the aftermath, especially what happens to children.
Exactly.
After this.
That's awesome. We're going to be discussing that and much more. Now, Mohammed Bank has a very interesting story, and you might have seen him even at other shows or heard him on radio discussing this, because he has been married, has been divorced, and then married the exact same woman again.
That's so true. That's so true.
So interesting.
Yeah,
It's such a cool
it's
story.
It's extremely interesting.
But you're a businessman as well.
I am a businessman as well, yes, and one of the main reasons I do this show is because there's so many marriages out there that can be saved so easily and so quickly, with so little knowledge that is required to guide them.
Right.
And also very quickly, to take a marriage from distress to mediocre happiness, or even to greater happiness, depending on how much somebody wants to invest in it, is so easy.
I like that. There's steps to it, and it's personal responsibility. You actually are the one responsible for, I was miserable, now I'm kind of happy.
Absolutely.
And now we're in a really good place, and I feel great about my relationship.
Absolutely. And the beautiful part is when it comes to marriages, there is so much that can be done. There's so many solutions. There's so many angles.
Wow.
It's just a question of applying them. And once we get into the whole story and everything else, it'll be my pleasure to share all of that. Yeah.
So one of the things that has been talked about on the show, and I thought it was so wise, one of our guests, we're talking about marriage and being ready for marriage, finding the one. And the most important questions that the men were asking, which I thought was so interesting, is other men need to ask themselves, would you marry you? Stop, let alone you thinking about finding the right woman.
Yes.
She's going to be like this.
Yes.
This is the work that she'll do. This is how she'll carry herself. Would you marry you? Would you advise somebody to marry you in the state that you're in?
Wow.
Now, when it comes to divorce and separation, let me just ask off the cuff with your patients
Yes.
and with the couples that you deal with.
Yes.
What are usually the most reasons for when people are considering getting divorced or considering to get separated?
Well, there are several reasons and as to why people divorce and separate. And there's just currently the rate keeps on increasing.
Right.
Look at the statistics.
Yes.
More people are divorcing nowadays than before. And
Divorce,
surprisingly,
divorce lawyers and life coaches, after Corona came, even the ones that came on the show, they said their busyness
they are busy.
skyrocketed.
Yes, yes. And surprisingly, as a psychologist, we can predict behavior. So don't be surprised. The trend will continue. The same manner.
Okay, okay.
But now back to your question.
Yeah.
Why do people separate and divorce? Because they cannot solve their problems. Simply.
It's that simple. So there are some
They
divorces because of
cannot solve the
infidelity,
problems that
money,
they have.
but the main thing.
Yes. Because maybe, let's look at facts. Maybe when they came together, they didn't know each other and they did not realize that they are not compatible.
Aha.
Because there is that compatibility.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work, they say, let's separate.
Right.
That's one reason.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, there could be conflict. Maybe issues to do with unfaithfulness. And somebody feels, I cannot stomach this anymore.
Yeah.
There could be an aspect of abuse.
Yes.
That people who are toxic and really abusive.
You're right.
And therefore, the person feels, it's better to be out there than to die in this marriage.
Yes, yeah.
And they leave. There could be also other fights in terms of other interests and third-party conflict. So there are several reasons. But I always ask myself and ask my clients at the end of the day, why did you get to the marriage first?
What was the
purpose?
actual
What
reason
was
for
the
marrying
the
this
actual
person?
reason for marriage? Because if what brought you together is weaker than what is going to separate you, then you're going to separate.
I firmly believe in the following. Marriage, when you take somebody's daughter,
Yeah.
when you take another human being, she is so vulnerable. She looks up to you. She looks up to you to be your protector, okay? To be the one who's going to provide, to look after. Have you noticed one thing? The woman even traditionally, well, it's changed now, but traditionally even takes the man's name. So that's how much she changes.
True.
So she'll go from a Mwangi to a Chariot and change her name completely. Why? To show you that, look, I'm completely submissive. But where's the problem? I feel, genuinely speaking, in the first 5 years, every marriage is in the hands of a man. And depending on how you behave with a woman and how you treat a woman will get a woman to react to you. So if you're not responsive in your marriage, you'll get her to lose interest. If you're abusive in the marriage, you'll get her to stand up and fight for herself. If you are hurtful and painful, look, if I move quickly towards you, you're going to raise your hands to defend yourself.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm a gentle man in the marriage, Isaac, follow me for a second.
Yes.
If I am a gentleman,
what
is a gentle man? A man that gives anchor to the marriage, where a woman feels soft, she can remain in her essence, she can remain beautiful for her man. She doesn't have to be strong and reach into her manly essence, okay? Providing for the man. And the man can enjoy that love, but yet be strong. Now, strong does not mean abusive, hurtful, painful, bringing your problems home and dishing it out on your wife or your fiancé or anybody else. But strong is being the protector. That means when you have problems outside, you don't bring them into the marriage. You keep them outside. And you make sure you protect the essence of that woman. Because that woman, and let's be very honest, a woman can be very, very strong. They give birth. It's the hardest thing to do in the world.
It really is. Have you guys seen the video simulations now? They can put nods on your bodies and give you an example of what pregnancy pain is like.
Exactly.
You need to watch those videos because those men are screaming for dear. Stop there! Stop there! Like immediately.
There you go.
And women can be in labor for hours and hours, and she can feel that kind of pain. So
I agree with you. And just to conclude that point, I really believe one thing, it's that it's in the man's hands in the first 5 years on how you craft, shape, and run your marriage.
Wow.
And here is the thing. If you keep your marriage soft, vulnerable, nice, and allow space for your lovely wife, woman, spouse to be in her essence, you will have the best marriage of your life. And here's the thing. What does a woman want, Isaac? At the end of the day, a woman wants to serve. A woman wants protection. A woman wants a safe place to have children.
Yeah.
A woman wants a place where she doesn't have to worry about whether the man is going out and having a relationship with another five. She wants to know that he comes back loyally to me. I can have his children and we can grow together.
Yeah.
That used to be the traditional essence.
That's security. You
Yeah,
know, when
there you
people
go.
talk about security in marriage, it's not always financial security, which is what people are looking to these days. It's feeling secure in knowing wherever my husband is, wherever my wife is, I'm certain in our goals that we've planned, you're still working towards them.
Indeed.
If it's infidelity, you're not unfaithful, you're still true to me. It doesn't matter what will happen out there in the world. I know that you're going to stay.
Indeed.
With our goals and our marriage and how we want it to be.
And in regards to infidelity, I have something very small to say about it. Marriage is work. Anything has a honeymoon period to it. A new job, a new car, a new spouse, a new girlfriend. Anything has a honeymoon period to it.
Yeah.
But then why is it that after a while you have to work at things? And this is something beautiful that Isaac said earlier on. People don't have the traditional sense to see that, hang on, this is somebody's daughter. This is another human being. Those ovaries bore my children. Are you with me? This is not something that, hang on a second, there's a new model out there, let me change it in. It doesn't work like that. Marriage is not that. Marriage actually, and that's what I realized. When my wife and I separated, I realized the mistakes I made during that period of separation. That period of separation that my wife forced me to go through was the most agonizing thing in my heart.
Because you couldn't understand at first.
Yes, very well said. I couldn't understand. But that space gave me a chance to reflect and to see from a little distance. And that helped me get my whole marriage into perspective and to get myself into perspective.
Right.
And how I fitted into the marriage or how I misfitted into the marriage. And where I was from a point of where I thought she was the problem all the time and she had the issues all the time, I actually realized that it was my ego that had the problem.
That was bringing
and I could not see.
That is a real thing. The moment you start looking at the other person and saying, that is a problem, you miss it. But the day you realize that you have a problem, you are sorted. Let me tell you for a fact, if only this world we will start by pointing at ourselves.
First, instead of this one.
Before pointing at others.
Yeah.
All problems will be sorted.
Indeed.
The male ego is such a sensitive element. If you can work it, the better. If it's a wife, massaging the ego is also a secret to winning the attention of this man. The moment you punch it, the man comes out with fight and says, I am the man here.
Yes.
And now starts using the strong aspects that Mohammed is talking about. And you lose it up. I like the fact that you went out there during that time of separation, you reflected and found where you are wrong.
Absolutely.
And you decided to be a man enough. A man enough should say sorry.
Indeed. Oh, not only did I say sorry, I said sorry every day for about a year and a half. Because I went, because here is the thing. It takes a lot for a soul and a heart, okay, especially one that has been brought up in a beautiful home, to give you that trust. And then when you take that trust, break it, and throw it, to rebuild that trust is like taking a mirror and putting all that glass together and trying to get it perfect again. I am so lucky that my wife gave me that chance. And when she gave me the chance to just see her, and we had a beautiful child as well, I just said to myself, I'm not going to waste this chance again. I am not. And what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that what I am, I will correct this. And now you can imagine. There's damage already done.
Yes.
Okay. Now comes out the marketing department to woo her out.
To now come,
Okay. And remember one thing, just like buying a car, the difficult part is not paying for it. It's maintaining it.
Maintenance.
You know, so imagine my wife came back and now very quickly on the job, I had to change, learn, understand how to do that.
You don't want to do things the same way again anyway, because that's how you ended up separated in the first place.
Exactly. Not only that, but Now there are deeper things to build. Remember, when you're right, and this is what I would like to say to all the young couples out there, especially the men out there. When you are on the honeymoon period, just remember one thing. You are feeling all sorts of emotions. There are all sorts of chemicals running through your body. It's all excited. It's all phenomenal.
Yeah.
But remember one thing. When that plane starts to land, comes the reality where you actually see a different layer of that person you're there. Now remember one thing. The mere fact that you could get through those 2 layers for the first year or 2 years is fantastic. But it's down to you as guys to make sure that the way you, because imagine this, in the beginning, all you can see is good about the other person.
That's true.
It doesn't matter.
Even for us ladies,
Yeah.
it's like this person
all
is
you
incredible.
can do is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whatever they do, even if they do cartwheels in the middle of State House, it's like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful act in the world.
I've never seen it.
Okay, you know. And then 5 years later, if they even trip in a kiosk, you're like,
You
okay,
just
could you walk properly,
irritated.
please?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a child. You spend the first 2 years teaching them to talk, and then you spend the rest of the years telling them to shut up. It's like a spouse, you know, the first 2 years or 3 years, everything's beautiful about them.
Right.
And then after that, everything's wrong about them. Why?
You know, the secret here is, sorry to say this, but this is a fact that I tell young couples during premarital counseling. Men marry ladies thinking that they will never change. Unfortunately,
they'll remain exactly
they
the same.
change. Women marry men thinking that they will change. Unfortunately, they change. That is the fact of life and the truth that we don't want to hear when we are beginning a marriage.
Right.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Actually, it can become worse.
Because of people who might have watched the show and might not know your story, I also want you to explain when you and your wife were at that separation point, what was the reason?
The reason we were at that separation point was that I went into earning mode.
Okay.
Okay, because we were having a child really quick.
Yes.
We got married really quick.
Right.
We had no time. My wife was looking at the marriage as, okay, this is our chance to be together. All the romance and everything else will continue. Unfortunately, I had suffered a lot of financial loss at that time.
So you are wired completely differently when you're looking at the future of your life
Yeah.
and your family.
Yeah, those caveman instincts.
Right.
Protect the family, provide for the family. So those were the first things that came in as a man. And that's what I wanted to do. And the problem was that when I went out there was a lot of frustration. And I used to bring that frustration home, unfortunately. And my beautiful, young, amazing, sweet wife would take the brunt of it. And would comfort me and counsel me and help me and everything else. But the thing is that I had no place to vent it. So unfortunately, it came out on the person I loved the most.
I get it.
So your question was during separation. What I did is I realized where I was going wrong. And I realized the places that I was going wrong was A, bringing my problems home. Secondly, you got to master yourself. You got to master your emotions. First of all, women are very emotional. Okay?
Yeah, we are.
So yes, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
That's
it's our
such a-
strength,
yes,
actually.
it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, women are very, very emotional, and what they need more than anything else, just like we can go to work and give 8 hours of attention. I promise you, if to the guys out there, if you go home and just spend 5, 10, 15 minutes with a beautiful cup of tea, just sit with your wife or your fiance and just go through her day and just make her feel heard and make her feel listened to. It could be something that your mother did, your mother-in-law did. It could be from a level of mamamboga down to if she's working, what her CEO did.
Oh my God,
to her.
meets the trucks on Mombasa Road. That's what I yell about when
Exactly.
I get to the house.
But I will call it a sincere debrief.
Yeah.
Okay, and with that, what I have learned in my marriage and from the knowledge that my wife has learned and what we have learned together is be very, very present and very, very sincere to it. Because at the end of the day, that's what a woman wants. And I promise you one thing. The reason women settle for diamonds, cars, houses and everything else is because they realize the ship has sailed on getting love, presence, warmth, comfort and security. So they will find another way to please themselves.
Right.
However, if you can genuinely give them sincerity, presence, warmth, attention and need and give their emotions that hearing that they deserve. You don't need to buy them cars, diamonds, designer handbags. Of course, they'll still like that.
Yeah.
You know? A woman is a woman. But
it won't be like, oh, I'm breaking up with him because we don't go on trips.
That's right. So what men do most of the time is we try and fill women from the outside by giving them all these material things. What women really want is to be filled from the inside. Because what works for men is for us to be filled from the outside. Yes. We are running the rat race. We want to be seen in a Range Rover or in a VX or in a Mercedes-Benz because we're competing with other men.
Yes.
You know, we want to be seen in the big office. We want to be seen in, with the bright watches. We want to be seen with all these things. Why? Because we're in competition to earn. Yes. We want to show we are better. But with women, they want to be filled from the inside.
Yes.
Private.
Yes.
You know? And that's what you've got to master. You need to change. That strong, silent type doesn't work anymore. What you've got to tap into, and by the way, just so you know, I'm not preaching here from being an expert. I'm still a student.
Right.
Okay? So you have to tap into the language that women speak, emotion. And you have to now learn that language. You have to soften with that language. You have to get with that language. And guess what? You have to communicate with that language.
Yes.
So, the reason you wonder why sometimes there's so many fights and things build up and women can announce, I call it the list, chronologically, alphabetically,
everything that you've
in
done
any
wrong
order that you like. They can mention your faults. I even have the cameraman laughing about this, okay? But the reason they can do that is because it hurts them. It hurts them.
So you remember something that hurts you. That's very
Absolutely. So what you've got to do is you've got to learn that language. How do you learn that language? Increase your knowledge. My wife says something really beautiful. She says where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focused on really working on your marriage, I would say one thing, become an expert in learning women's emotions, how they work, how their language works, etc., etc. It becomes very beautiful. And then what you can do is, a lot of men feel, no, it's too much hard work. And that's why Isaac was saying, a lot of men check out, women check out, and then they feel their marriage is not working. It's not working.
You guys aren't working at
it. And actually, no, you're just not speaking the language.
Right.
I'm speaking logic, you're speaking emotion.
Yes.
But if we're speaking the same language,
yeah,
and I have the patience to understand you,
right,
and you need to, you see, when we're in the business world and I'm dealing with another man, it's like simple. I bought this for 50, do you want it for 60? No, give it to me for 55, and it's done.
And see if you can agree, and that's it.
But with women, it's like, I bought this for 50, do you want it for 60? But first tell me more about it. So you see, they want to discuss things. They want to talk about things. Their language of bargaining and talking and discussing is very, very different. Men don't understand that. So what we have to do is, and this was my initial point, is change. The way women have changed to learn men's language and survive in the business world today, men have to change and learn the emotional language to survive in the home worlds today. And we'll have less divorces.
I want us to take a tiny short break on that bombshell because I like what you've emphasized there at the end.
Thank you.
Is women have been learning men's language.
They have.
So that we can survive in the career and business world. And maybe it's time for men to learn women's. We're going to take a tiny short break and I'm going to be back with Mohammed and Isaac. Keep it here on KTN Hope. This is Man Talk.